Today, I want to talk about something that's incredibly close to my heart, something that I think has the power to change our lives from the inside out. Let's be real for a second. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to be more, do more, achieve more. We become our own harshest critics. That little voice in our head can be relentless, right? It points out every mistake, every flaw, every time we don't meet our own ridiculously high expectations. You probably wouldn't keep that friend around for very long. So why do we tolerate that inner bully? The antidote to this internal pressure isn't to just ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist. The antidote is to actively practice self-kindness. It's about consciously choosing to treat yourself with the same compassion, understanding, and encouragement that you would offer to a dear friend who is struggling. It's about changing the narrative. Instead of a story of criticism and not enoughness, you start writing a story of empathy, acceptance, and gentle support. So, what does this look like in real life? Let's break it down. One of the core pillars of self-kindness is common humanity. This is the understanding that you are not alone in your struggles. Failure, imperfection, and pain are universal human experiences. When you mess up at work, or say the wrong thing, or feel like you're not a good enough parent or partner, it's so easy to isolate yourself in that feeling. To think, I'm the only one who's this much of a mess. But the truth is, everyone feels that way sometimes. Everyone stumbles. Recognizing this shared experience connects us rather than separates us. It's not about making excuses. It's about perspective. Instead of what's wrong with me, the question becomes, how can I support myself through this? Just like I would support anyone else. Another key part is mindfulness. Not in a you must meditate for an hour every day kind of way, but in a simple, gentle way. It's about noticing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When that critical inner voice starts up, you just notice it. Ah, there's that thought again, telling me I'm not good enough. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to believe it. You just observe it, like watching a cloud pass in the sky. This creates a little bit of space between you and the thought. In that space, you have a choice. You can choose to let that thought define you, or you can choose to offer yourself a kind word instead. You can say, it's okay. You're trying your best, and that's enough. This simple act of noticing and redirecting is incredibly powerful. It's like being the calm, wise narrator of your own story, rather than getting lost in the chaotic drama of the first draft. And finally, there's the kindness part of self-kindness. This is the action. It's about actively comforting and soothing yourself when you're hurting. Think about what you do when a child falls and scrapes their knee. You don't yell at them for being clumsy. You give them a hug, you clean the wound, you tell them it's going to be okay. We need to learn to do that for ourselves. When you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe it means taking 5 minutes to just breathe and do nothing. When you're disappointed in yourself, maybe it means making a cup of tea and wrapping yourself in a warm blanket. Maybe it's putting on your favorite music and dancing around the living room. It's about asking yourself, what do I need right now? And then giving yourself permission to have it. These aren't grand, expensive gestures. They are small, consistent acts of love. Let me share a personal story. For years, I was a perfectionist. I believed that if I just pushed myself harder, I could avoid ever making a mistake. Of course, that's impossible. So every time I inevitably fell short, I would beat myself up for days. I was living in a constant state of anxiety and self-criticism. The story I was telling myself was that my worth was tied to my achievements, and any failure was a personal indictment. It was exhausting. The shift happened when I started to reframe failure. Instead of seeing it as an endpoint, a sign of my inadequacy, I started to see it as a plot point, a twist in the story. Every hero's journey has moments of struggle and setback. It's what makes the story interesting. It's where the growth happens. So, when I made a mistake, instead of spiraling, I started to ask different questions. Okay, that didn't work. What did I learn from this? How can I use this experience to be better next time? I started to treat myself like a protagonist I was rooting for, not a villain who needed to be punished. And let me tell you, it changed everything. My anxiety lessened, my creativity soared, and honestly, I became more resilient and even more successful because I wasn't afraid to take risks anymore. The fear of failure had lost its power over me. So how can you start writing your own beautiful story of self-kindness today? Start small. Pick one thing. Maybe tonight, before you go to sleep, instead of replaying all your mistakes from the day, you can think of 3 things you did well, no matter how minor. Maybe you held the door for someone. Maybe you finished a difficult task at work. Maybe you just got out of bed when it felt impossible. Acknowledge your effort. Or maybe tomorrow, when you hear that critical voice start to chirp up, you can try a gentle response. You can literally say to yourself, out loud or in your head, "Thank you for your concern, but I'm choosing to be kind to myself right now." Give yourself a new line of dialogue. Change the script. You are the author, the director, and the star of this show. You have the power to change the narrative at any moment. It's important to remember that this is a practice, not a destination. There will be days when it's easy to be kind to yourself, and there will be days when that old critical voice is screaming at you. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is to keep picking up the pen and continuing to write a kinder story. Every act of self-kindness is a sentence in that new chapter. Over time, those sentences become paragraphs. Those paragraphs become chapters. And eventually, you'll look back and see you've written an entirely new book, a beautiful story of resilience, growth, and self-love. A story where you are the hero you were always meant to be. If you are struggling and these feelings of self-criticism are overwhelming, please know that it's a sign of strength to reach out for help. Talking to a therapist or a trusted professional can provide you with tools and support to navigate these challenges. You don't have to write this story alone. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope this has given you a little bit of inspiration to start being a kinder friend to yourself. What's one small act of self-kindness you're going to do this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading your stories. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on living a more intentional and compassionate life. Take care, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.